The escalating Israel-Iran conflict could send shockwaves through global energy markets. As tensions rise, oil prices surge, and disruptions loom at the Strait of Hormuz, India faces a serious threat to its energy security. The Israel-Iran conflict has spurred a sharp rise in oil prices. In August 2024, India sourced 44.6% of its crude oil imports from the Middle East. Oil prices have already reacted to the heightened risk. Brent crude surged by 5%, reaching $79.12 per barrel. This surge would directly impact energy importers like India, straining its budget. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most critical energy choke points globally, and it's vital for India's energy supply. The strait sees the passage of approximately 20.5 million barrels of oil per day, nearly 30% of global seaborne oil trade. India relies on this route to import oil from major suppliers such as Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, as well as liquefied natural gas from Qatar. India's gas imports from Qatar are essential. In February 2024, India's Petronet LNG signed a 20-year agreement with Qatar Energy for the supply of 7.5 million metric tons per annum of LNG, valued at approximately $78 billion over the contract period. Any disruption in the Strait of Hormuz could block these vital supplies, forcing India to seek more costly and logistically complex alternatives like rerouting ships around the Cape of Good Hope, increasing both transport time and cost. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical energy choke point, vital for India's energy supply. It sees 20.5 million barrels of oil daily, nearly 30% of global seaborne oil trade. India imports oil from Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, and gas from Qatar. Disruption here could block vital supplies, forcing costly and complex alternatives. India's economy is highly sensitive to oil price fluctuations. A $10 per barrel increase in oil prices could raise India's consumer price index by 0.5 percentage points. This inflationary pressure would necessitate increased government spending on fuel subsidies. In fiscal year 23 to 24, India's oil import bill was nearly $158 billion. India imports 85% of its crude oil and 50% of its LNG needs. India's response, turning to Russian oil. India has diversified its energy suppliers, becoming the largest importer of Russian oil. In July 2024, India imported 2.07 million barrels per day of Russian crude, taking advantage of discounted prices offered by Russia, despite Western sanctions. However, India's oil imports travel through the Red Sea and may need rerouting via the Cape of Good Hope, raising transport costs. Exploring domestic oil and gas potential. India is accelerating efforts to develop its domestic oil and gas resources. Only 10% of India's sedimentary basins are under exploration. The government plans to increase this to 16% by 2024. Unexplored basins could hold up to 22 billion barrels of oil. Key basins include the Mahanadi, Andaman Sea, Bengal, and Kerala Konkan. India faces challenges in deep-water and ultra-deep-water exploration. India's strategic shifts securing the future. With Middle Eastern supplies at risk, India is securing its energy future. Increasing Russian oil imports. India has overtaken China as the largest importer of Russian crude, diversifying energy sources with renewables. Ambitious plans to reach 500 gigawatts by 2030. The Israel-Iran conflict threatens global energy markets, and India is particularly exposed. Nearly half of its crude oil and LNG imports come from the Middle East. Disruption in key shipping routes could severely impact its economy. India is preparing to adapt by increasing Russian imports, exploring domestic potential, and diversifying energy sources.